big sound in a small town, far away from the big city lights, making music every night. Good music with all our friends. Tell everybody, tell your mama and them, we're going out and we're getting down. A big sound in a small town. A big sound in a small town. A big sound in a small town. A big sound in a small town.
Hi, and welcome to Big Sound Small Town. I'm your host, Sandy Carlton, and this is a podcast about the lives and stories of the musicians, writers, artists, and their associates that have their roots in the small towns and communities across America. If you like what you hear, tell somebody. Enjoy.
Look at the ivy on the cold clinging wall. Look at the flowers and the green grass so tall. It's not a matter of when push comes to shove. It's just an hour on the wings of a dove. And it's warm love. I dig it when you're fancy dressed up in lace. I dig it when you have a smile on your face. This inspiration's got to be on the floor. This invitation's got to see it and know it's warm love. It's just warm love. And it's ever present everywhere. 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 To the country I'm going, to lay and laugh in the sun. You can bring your guitar along. We'll sing some songs and we'll have some fun. The sky is crying and it's time to go home. We shall hurry to the car from the phone. Sit by the fire, dry out our wet clothes. It's raining outside from the skies up above. Inside it's warm love. Inside is warm love. And it's ever present everywhere. And it's ever present everywhere. And it's ever present everywhere. And it's ever present everywhere.
Okay. Hey, Sandy. This is Seth Walker calling you from Asheville, North Carolina. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. I'm glad to have you on the show. So, while we're talking about you being in Asheville, how did you get to Asheville?
Well, I'm actually originally from North Carolina. I grew up I actually was born in Burlington, North Carolina, and then I grew up outside of Elon College in a little town called Altima Hall, Ossipee, North Carolina.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I don't know if you've met.
I know where it is, but
not many people do.
Tell them that again so they'll know.
Yeah, Altima Hall, Ossipee, North Carolina, way out in the sticks, right in the middle of the state, pretty much.
Yeah.
I grew up out there and went down to college at East Carolina for a little bit, and then basically have left. I was in Florida for a brief stint, and then I was in Texas and Austin, Nashville, New Orleans, New York.
Right.
But this is the first time I've been back to my home state since I was 18 years old, I guess.
Wow, that's cool. Well, Now, how in a little town like that did you get exposure to music? And particularly the style that you do, you know?
Well, I mean, I grew up playing classical music. My mother and father are both Suzuki violin and cello teachers. So I grew up playing the cello. So my fingers were always on strings growing up. But there was some music. I grew up in this kind of a very different way of. I grew up in a commune, it was a Quaker commune in this big log house we had. It was two families living communally. My family of four and Jim and Susan Walton, kind of my other parents, my godparents, they had three kids. So it was 9 of us living there together. So lots of different ways of looking at things, lots of different influences, and music was a big part of that. Jim loved, ironically enough, that I ended up moving to Austin. He loved Texas country music.
Oh, so, yeah, that's fine.
Willie Nelson was some of the first music that I ever really felt as a kid. I remember it vividly. So those were some of the beginnings, and it wasn't until I went to East Carolina University where I discovered guitar, really, blues guitar specifically. Well,
so at that
and
point,
that's opened it up for me. Yeah.
Early on, then you didn't really have an idea that you were going to be a musician.
I mean, not really. I mean, I didn't know. I mean, I played the cello. I liked it. It wasn't taught with an iron fist or anything. Right. It was just something that we did. And I was pretty good at it. I wasn't incredible at it. But when I discovered the guitar in college, that was something that I found.
Right.
Something, you know what I'm saying? It was a different thing than the cello.
Oh, and let me inject this as being a fiddler myself. The Suzuki method is wonderful.
It is. It is a wonderful. I'm so thankful looking back now, Sandy, that training, because it's a lot by ear. You learn by an ear training. So when I'm playing blues music, it's all by feel, and that's part of your ear, So it definitely has come in handy.
It really does. I mean, that's one of the things that the ear training itself is the wonderful part of it.
Absolutely. So when I went to college and these guys were playing Stevie Ray Vaughan and Eric Clapton and Hendrix in my dorm room,
right?
I deep ended into it. I just wouldn't go to class.
Right.
I just sat around and played the guitar all day. Yeah.
At this point, was this electric, or were you trying to play this on an acoustic? Did you?
I had just got. I bought an electric little Stratocaster.
Right.
A little Mexican Stratocaster I bought. Now I will back up 1 second, and I will say that my father did have a guitar, and he played folky kind of stuff. So I had played a guitar, but barely.
Right.
It wasn't until that when I was in college and I started playing on the electric guitar, that's when I started bending strings.
Oh yeah. So did it take you long to find somebody to play with? Or
Not too long, man. I had some of my first, my first really, my first gigs were at East Carolina. I put a little band together with a couple buddies, and we were just,
right.
really just butchering Stevie Ray Vaughan songs.
Sure, that's
yeah,
part of the college life, is it
pretty
not?
bad, pretty bad. There's a few tales in my book about some of those gigs. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that book before we. That's the best title of a book I've seen, and I do not know when. So yeah, we'll get to that. So okay, you're going to college. Do you? I mean, I guess then you decide, hey, this is what I'm going to do.
Well, it's funny, man. Like I was never a decision. It wasn't. I just went.
Right.
I really, it wasn't like one day I was like, I think I'm going to be a musician.
Right.
I was just like a possessed, I guess. And I did know that, well, quickly, I dropped out of college. I lasted a couple years actually studying art, and design and stuff like that. But I knew that this life was calling me, and I wanted to move to a place outside of North Carolina, and the only place I knew to go was Jacksonville, Florida, where my uncle Landon Walker, my dad's brother, he's a jazz bassist.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, he's a jazz
Yeah.
bassist, and he had a radio show called the After Hours Cafe, and he would send me, and it was a blues show, and he would send me tapes of all these of all the masters, and
Right.
so I knew that he was hip to all that shit, and I said, well, I'm going to go down there and just kind of dip my toe in there, and that's when I started playing around with there was like a Grateful Dead cover band, there were some
Right.
reggae bands I was playing with, and then I guess to get back to your question, that's when I maybe had more of a revelation that I needed to go to an actual music city and
Right.
submerge myself, and I went to Austin.
That's a good one. I mean, that if you're
Yeah.
going to pick one, particularly at that time, what time frame
That
would
was
that have been?
95. That was
Yeah.
1995. That was the kind of one of the last chapters really of the old Austin.
Yeah, and that's
before
a
it
good.
changed.
Yeah, that's a good time there. I mean, it was still
Yeah.
affordable. Still.
Yeah, it was a college town,
Yeah.
really, and still, and there was man, it was a great community of blues musicians that just took me under their wing and just showed me how to damn swing.
That's
It
cool,
was,
man. That's
yeah,
really
it was
cool.
very cool. Yeah.
So it was an open community. I mean, you were able
Oh, yeah.
to fit in real quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it took me a while to get it together. I mean, I not that I have it together now, but in those days I was definitely floundering around and just cutting my teeth, and I would get my head chopped off. I would
Oh yeah.
all that stuff. But the thing about it, man, that was what was so like it was so communal, like kind of the way I grew up. I mean, we all stuck together,
Right.
and we learned from each other. So that was so I moved there in 95. I started going to little blues jams and stuff, and it wasn't until 1997 where I got it together to put my first kind of little jump blues band together, and I made my first record.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Now, how'd that come about exactly?
Well, for some reason, when I listened to those tapes that my uncle gave me, I was really taken by, I loved all of it, but I was really taken by T-Bone Walker
Yeah,
stuff
T-Bone.
he would send me, and Gabe Mouth Brown,
Right.
and all this kind of, I love this swing and blues stuff, and in Texas, that's part of the deal.
Well, yeah.
And so I was
swing,
just,
yeah.
I was just copying these guys. And next thing I knew, I was singing Louis Jordan tunes and stuff like that. And next thing I knew, I was getting all these swing dancers that were coming to see me play.
That's really cool.
And
Dancers
yeah,
are
it was.
great.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember in the mid '90s when the neo swing
Sure I do,
craze kind
yeah.
of came back, and so man, next thing I knew, I actually had gigs, and I was able to start making a little bit of money,
right.
and I hooked up with the guy named Frosty Smith. He was a drummer, played with me for a year. This guy was way above my league. He was a monster drummer. He played with a guy named Lee Michaels back in the day, a rock organ player. He's had this guy's a legend. And I just happened to have gigs, and he started playing with me, and he arranged a recording session for me at Pedernales Studios, which is Willie Nelson's place out in Spicewood Springs, and he really paved the way for me to do my first album.
Now, did you have your own songs at that point?
I did.
I mean,
I did. I claimed them as mine,
right.
but they were just blues songs
right.
that I just wrote some lyrics to.
Sure, I mean that's kind of the way it works a little bit. I mean,
yeah.
So had you started writing before that point? I mean, had writing been a part of it, or just playing before that?
Yeah, I had written a little bit when I lived in Jacksonville, Florida. I had put together a little band, and I was trying to write some songs here and there. I was just messing with it, and it wasn't until much later where I really started to pay attention,
right,
honestly, to the lyric.
Oh yeah, I do know, because you get so absorbed into learning the music that you really the words are kind of non-existent in a lot of ways.
I didn't even think about it. I was so eaten up with the blues guitar stuff and swinging and all that stuff, and so it wasn't until a guy named Mark Hayes, a drummer that I worked with back in 1999, he was the first guy to set me down, and he said, "Now look, boy," he's like, "you're gonna have to pay attention to what you're saying." And he started giving me Guy Clark records and John Hyatt albums and Nick Lowe albums and Paul Simon and things like that. So that's when I started to pay attention. Yeah.
If you're going to write, those are guys, good guys to
now I'll tell you what,
from.
Titans.
Oh, they are, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Well, really, one of the cool things is the swing part. You still have that swing thing going, That's what kind of separates
it's in there. It's in there. I don't play swing music per se anymore, but I always going to be swinging around the beat.
Yeah, you are swinging around the beat. I mean, I think that's one of the things that attracted me to your music is that it is a different blues than what you hear every day. It does swing. I mean, I've been forever, not that I ever played any of it, but I'm a big fan of big bands, and swinging was the whole thing with that. I mean, it's the swing part of it.
Oh God, yeah. Man.
And Texas is full of country swing bands, so.
Bob Wills.
Oh yeah.
Still the king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So did that record get you some attention at that point?
A little bit, just locally.
Right.
I was just playing gigs around Texas. I started my first little, trips to Houston, trips to Dallas, and then, I slowly started to creep out. And then around 2002, I put out an album called Restless, and it was an acoustic, more of an acoustic album. I was really kind of, I don't know, I was kind of bucking from swing blues. I was like, that ain't gonna define me. Let me do this, and I went way over here, and I was doing this other thing and writing little folky blues songs and things of that nature. And it really wasn't. I didn't really get out of Texas touring until around 2007. Yeah. I did a few things, but nothing on a grand
nothing
scale.
major. Yeah. No, but I mean that's how you start it. A little bit at a time.
Yeah, little baby steps. In Texas, the thing about Texas is that it's so damn big. You can just you can make a living right there and never leave the state.
You can, because actually, you talk about a vibrant music scene. Texas is everywhere has places to play.
Everywhere. I mean, I couldn't get away. I would like to go to the grocery store and just get groceries without listening to somebody express themselves.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
they
that's
have
the
music
truth.
everywhere. Music everywhere.
That's funny. That's one of the funniest things I've heard anybody say. But there's a truth to that. I mean, it's
like, damn, I just want to get some bacon, yo.
and here I am stuck listening for an hour. I fell off here. It's like, oh,
I know.
That's crazy.
It's a part of their. It's awesome.
It's wonderful. Awesome. Yeah, it is the best thing about Texas.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So, but at some point you left Texas.
Yeah, it was around 2008, 2009. I don't know, man. I've moved around a lot, so there's a restlessness to me. And I felt like I was just
rambling, man. Yeah, I understand.
I don't know. It's a velvet, like we call it the velvet rut.
Right.
Sometimes,
and
the bubble. And I was like, you know what? I tell you actually what was probably one of the main kind of catalyst for me to move was I met a guy named Gary Nicholson.
Yeah.
Who's a great writer from Nashville. He's from Texas. He's from Dallas, but I'm sure you know him, but sounds like
Delbert.
Yeah, monster writer and player.
He is a monster writer, player, singer.
And I got hooked up with him through a mutual friend and radio promoter named Al Moss, and he set up for us to meet, and this was before I actually decided to move, and we wrote a few songs together, and he ended up producing an album of mine, but I was like, well, man, I just want to go to Nashville. It's just so deep and rich with musicians and writers, and so I said, I'm just going to sling myself up in there, and that's what happened.
No, it was a good time too at that time to make the move from Austin.
Yeah, I was ready. It was 2000, and
it was changing too during that time too. I mean,
2008 I think is or 2009 is when I moved there. Yeah. And I just, and I was really, it was a time in my life where I was really open, and I was trying to meet people and learn and write with a bunch of different people. And I learned a lot about who I wasn't more than who I was.
Oh, yeah.
During those times.
I do understand how that works too.
Yeah.
I spend time there learning that same lesson.
Oh, man, I got caught up in the gears of that shit, and I was like, sometimes I found myself just, I don't know, I found myself wondering, writing things I didn't believe, and I was caught up in the machinery of it all just a little bit. I mean, I'm smart enough to know not to get fall into it too bad. But
your moves have been pretty good, pretty timely too, because you were there when Nashville's different now too.
Yeah, I know.
So
I know, truly.
So you've gotten yourself in two good places while they were still good too, which is really cool.
Yeah, it was great, man. I learned a whole lot. I met so many great musicians. I mean, the whole connection with Delbert, and I wouldn't have gotten it if I didn't move there. And
right.
he and his, run around with those guys have definitely helped my fan base all over the country.
I'm sure it has. Plus, Delbert has churned out his whole thing being different than Nashville, different than Texas. Although he has that connection, he's thrived within that, doing something that is not really conducive to either place.
Man, he does it his own damn way.
He does. He really does.
That guy he is such a character, man. God, yeah.
I see. Are you getting ready to go on a cruise with him?
Yeah, I think they're rescheduling it for 2022.
Yeah, sometime this year then.
Yeah.
Cool.
Beginning it next year. Yeah.
Next
So
year,
it's,
yeah.
Fingers crossed.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
I guess this stuff has impacted you like it has everyone else.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, I haven't, I haven't had I can't count the gigs.
Yeah, I
I can
can.
barely count them on one hand, really, as far as live gigs. I've done
Yeah.
a lot of virtual concerts
Sure,
and things
yeah.
through this past year, but yeah, it's definitely turned me upside down.
Yeah,
that's
I
for
mean,
sure.
I hadn't had a real job in over a year, really.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, shook me loose.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, what happens in Nashville? You decide it's time there too at some point, right?
Yeah, I was there for about 3 years, and yeah, I don't know. I just, I felt it again. So I moved to New Orleans at that time. I'd always loved New Orleans music,
Sure.
obviously, because it swings too,
Yeah,
and
it
it's
really
got
swings,
the push
yeah.
and pull and all
Right.
that stuff. And I had a cousin that lived down there, and she offered I could just come down there and just kind of
Yeah.
bunk down there and just check it out for a little bit, and just no rent. I mean, no lease,
Right.
just hang out and see what it was like. And I ended up really liking it. I mean, I was there for 6 years, and it was a different season in my life in that I wasn't I didn't like go out to be in the New Orleans music community like I did in Austin and Nashville.
Right.
It was a little bit more of it was a little bit more an inward, introspective, contemplative time for me, but I loved the spirit of the city. I
Right.
loved the syncopation of its nature,
Oh, yeah, I do. Oh, trust
So,
me, I do.
It was a big influence on me. I'm glad I went.
You can hear it in your music. I mean, you can hear the New Orleans stuff in your music too.
Well, it's also I mean, all that, man. It's like the Caribbean music, the blues, the
I
jazz,
agree.
the soul, the folk. It's all there, and it's all
Yeah,
there.
it is. It really is. I mean, that's a little tougher community to crack than say Nashville or Austin, but still, it's great music city.
It's a great little scene there. I mean, it's not as much of a songwriter's
Right.
thing. It's like either you play it funky or you play it swinging. That's what people want to hear there. They want to part. So songwriting, is not.
It's more music oriented, more.
Yeah, it doesn't. They don't listen to the lyric quite as much. There's one place down there called Chicky Wawa.
Yeah, I know
that.
that. Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
And Dale's catered to some to songwriting stuff. So, but yeah, man, it was cool, and I'm really, I still go back and I do recording sessions every night. I actually did a pretty cool session there with Johnny Bodakovich.
Oh yeah.
And John Medeski one time down there.
That's cool stuff.
Yeah.
Cool guys.
Oh God.
Fine players too. Before I forget it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just
Monsters.
Yeah, and you've actually, when you hang with monsters, you kind of become a monster. It kind of seems like that's what's happening with you a bit.
Man, I'm just trying to get out of the way of it and let it come through me.
I hear you. That's what you do.
Yeah.
So then you went somewhere else too. Did you go to New York?
I went to New York for a brief stint, a very expensive year.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I was dating a girl that lived up there, and we gave that a shot for a while, and she had spent pretty much her whole adult life there.
Right.
And that was exciting. I do I do remember, man. Like, oh, watch this, watch me, motherfuckers. I'm going to New York City, and you can eat my dust. And then a year, not even 6 months later, my tail was tough. And I was like, man, I can't do it. I'm country as a brown egg. I mean, I couldn't. I just my nerves just couldn't handle it.
Well,
very exciting place to be, but
it's very exciting. But there again, those Southern roots, they don't take hold in places like New York as well. I mean,
no, they don't. But man, I met so many people from, just such a diverse group of people from all over the world. And I really loved,
there's a great
just kind of,
to it.
Yeah. And there's a harmony to it somehow. And all of its, neuroses, and it's like, it's tangled web. Somehow it's like a club.
Yeah, it kind of is.
These people, it's like and I don't know how the thing doesn't just gridlock, literally and figuratively speaking.
Right.
It's so many people in such a small amount of space.
Oh, I agree.
They dance around it somehow together.
They do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of music there too. I mean, there's a lot of music there.
Oh yeah. I got to see a lot. Jazz music is a big influence on me, obviously. So I got to go into the Vanguard or to the Blue Note and see who at John Schofield or McCoy Tyner or all these.
Probably one of my favorite.
Lou Donaldson. I saw Lou Donaldson there. It was it's a big city.
Yeah, it's it is the big city, and you do get to see guys there that you don't get to see any other place. You're not going to see those guys in Nashville much.
No, not much. But Nashville called me again, and my girlfriend was ready to get out of the city. She's been there a long time, so we gave Nashville a try, and we were there for about 2 or 3 years, and then it didn't, I wanted to give it a second chance, and COVID came and just turned the whole thing upside down, all of us, and it kind of kicked me out to Asheville, and I love it here. It's the pace is nice and easy, and I got a soft place to land here.
It's a good music scene there too.
I know. It's a good music scene there too.
A lot of different music there too, which is for such a small city, it does have a lot of.
So you're in Shelby?
I am, in Shelby? Which is the best small music community, I believe, in America. The musicians here are fabulous. I have
the funniest story about Shelby.
Tell it, man. I love it.
It was a funny shit, man. This guy was in my very first band.
Yeah.
His name was Wayne Massey, and he's from Shelby, North Carolina.
Yeah, he is.
Do you know Wayne?
Yeah, I do.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love this dude. He was in my very first band, his band called Soul Food at East Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played drums, and we had moved to. I had convinced him at some point to move to Jacksonville, Florida. And we went down there in Jacksonville. We were messing around, and we couldn't get anything going, right?
Right.
And he's like, well, let's go back to Shelby. And I know a guy that plays bass, and he works at a sub sandwich shop. I don't know the guy's name. And I was like, well, shit, okay, let's do it. So we packed up the van, drove all the way from Jacksonville Beach all the way to Shelby, went right to this substation, and I said, okay, let's have a rehearsal tonight as soon as you get off work. Like we're gonna get it going in Shelby. And we had this rehearsal, and man, it was just so lame. And I remember I was like, this shit ain't gonna work out, man. And I got back in my van the same night and drove all the way back to Jacksonville Beach and slept on the beach that night because I had nowhere to go. That was my 36 hours in Shelby, North Carolina.
That's a great story. Yeah, that's a good one.
If you see Wayne, tell him I said
I haven't seen him in a while. I have no idea where he is these days, but
yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, oh yeah. That's funny. That's just
That was
funny.
a long time ago. That was like 1995 or
Yeah,
something.
it
Yeah,
sounds about right. Yeah.
late 1994, probably actually.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea where he's at. I hadn't seen him in a long time, but
Yeah, yeah, he's my first drummer.
that's cool though.
Yeah,
That's a great connection there.
there you go. Oh
So,
yeah,
so let's
36 hours in Shelby. Sounds like a song or a
it
book.
does, don't it? And sometimes that's about the right amount of time to spend here.
I love Shelby though. I used to cruise through there.
Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
got some cool stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Scruggs, Don Gibson's from here, Patty Loveless, you know. There's a lot of people from here.
Oh really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, but it's yeah, there's a lot of musicians here. It makes it easy to play. It's a pretty good community. It's a lot of it has if you would minimize Austin, it would be a tiny Austin, I guess, or some of the pockets in Austin. It's a pretty cool music scene.
I'd love to
these
come down and
days.
play sometime.
I tell you what, I'll when they ever get back to playing, I'll hook you up.
Okay.
We'll stay in touch, and I'll hook you up. We'll
Sounds good.
so let's get to the book.
Okay.
Let's talk about. I mean, is this something that you had been thinking about for a while?
I really hadn't. Through the years, I would write little, essays from the road, or
Right.
little journal entries, and I would mess around with poems every now and then. I guess it's obviously somewhat related to songwriting, but it wasn't until the whole world stopped and I was,
You had
staring out my window,
time on your hands.
watching the squirrels,
Yeah.
and I just started in on it. I was not planning to write a book. Just started writing little essays, little short stories, and I was just thinking back, honestly, man, on a lot of the things that we have just been talking about, and all the different people I've met, and the different cities I've lived, and the different all these experiences and zany characters I've met. So I just started writing it down, and it just so happened that my next door neighbor is a great poet and writer herself. She wrote a story about me in the East Nashvilleian.
Oh, really?
And we became friends, and obviously with COVID, we were right there.
Right.
It was right across the street from one another. So I started showing her a few of my pieces, and she was like, "Man, Seth, I think you might have something here, man." And so she became my editor, and she was instrumental in encouraging me, and she really gave me the confidence and to go ahead and dive all the way in. And then so 6 months later, I came up for air, and I had a book.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I
It
mean,
was really fun, very cathartic to write.
I'm sure.
I learned so much about, not only the art and craft of writing, but I definitely, it cracked me open so much. I learned more about myself in the process than anything.
well, I mean, you might even get a song out of a book. And,
Yeah.
that is a really cool thing. Then, so how's that? Go ahead, tell them about the book. Give them the name.
Well, it's called Your Van is on Fire. And it is, ironically enough, the title piece, essay, is about the very first gig I ever did in East Carolina with Wayne Massey at a house concert, and it was about a trip I took. I broke my guitar string, and had to go get a replacement. And this story is about that journey in a van, and
that's cool.
Fire extinguishers are involved. So the book the book is kind of a hybrid. It's a memoir. I mean, I call it a memoir. The miscellaneous meanderings of a musician is the subtitle. But it's short essays, most of them, couple pages at the most, maybe 3 pages on one, and then it has poetry, and it also has some of my artwork in there, and it covers my upbringing out in Altamaha, Ossipee, North Carolina. It covers a lot of the people that I learned from, masters, T-Bone Walker, opening up for Alan Toussaint, Dr. John, and then it Willie Nelson, and then it shifts over to a little bit more of a introspective, little darker, some darker stuff about some trips I took to Havana, Cuba, and stuff like that.
Now, where can the listeners get this at?
You can get it on my website, sethwalker.com, and of course you can get it on Amazon if you want to give Jeff Bezos
some
all
more
of our money.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
But yeah, website's the best place.
Yeah, it's the best place. Yeah, go ahead and promote that while you got it there. I guess you can get all everything there these days, right?
Yeah, everything's there. All of my albums. I have 7 or 8 albums that are available there, but LPs, and that's all sethwalker.com, and of course the book is there too.
Right, and merchandise. Don't forget it, folks, because that's lifeblood too of.
It certainly is.
That's artists aren't working, and listeners, you guys need to be listening. You buy merchandise; it helps keep them afloat.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
So, we've all been through it, and So what do you see? What's coming up in 2021? What you got going on?
Well, it's just slow. It's a slow rollout. I've got just a few little things here and there. I'm going to be going to Atlanta to do a thing coming up, an outdoor concert. I'm doing some outdoor shows with the Mavericks coming up.
Yeah.
In Kansas City in May, but it's still. I mean, it's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Are you
nowhere
writing
near it?
Are you writing new material, or is that like everyone else that I talk to, and like myself? It's. I haven't written as near as much as I thought I would during this time.
I have been working on a new album.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I have been. It's almost tracked now. I kind of worked in somewhat. It's during the time I was writing the book, I was writing some songs as well. But yeah, it is strange, I must say, as we kind of creep back into this, what it's going to feel like. I mean, I played a gig at City Winery last week in Nashville, and it was great to play and everything, but it feels a little strange.
It does.
I gotta say, I think for the patrons as well.
You take a year off, and you think it's no big deal, but it does have a different feel. I agree. I just did some studio work this Monday, and even that felt weird.
Yeah.
It's like. Wow, I mean,
I know, and I'm a different person. We're all different as we've gone through this, and
I mean, there's a part of you that, I kind of like being here all the time.
I mean, the title of my book says it all. It's like, my van has been on fire for 20 years or 15 years of nonstop touring. Flaming hamster wheel.
Right.
And I will say this, man. I'm going to try to be a little bit more intelligent about the choices that I make, and maybe saying no.
Yeah. I do understand. Yes.
The big no, and and ration my energy and focus it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's good as we age. That does, that might be a part of it too.
Mm-hmm.
So you're liking Nashville well enough?
I like it. You know, my family's here. My dad just moved here and as well. My mom's here and my sister's here, and so we're able to jam a little bit and
That's
play.
Cool.
Yeah, it's, you know, this is the first time I've lived in the same city with them since I went to college.
Wow.
So I'm kind of catching up for some lost time. You know, I miss so many things.
I'm kind of the same way too.
My
it's,
life. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It's sometimes it looks more glamorous than it is in real life. You know, I mean, people don't realize that it's a traveling second shift job, basically.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's definitely taxing. So I'm enjoying the downtime. I'm reading a lot and working on my new album and spending some time with my family and just resting my bones. I know that things are gonna the next thing you know, I'm gonna be back hustling. So
I'm sure you will be. You know, I mean, it's one of those things. Yeah, I mean, and it's strange, and I see it slowly picking back up. So you know, well, man, I appreciate you taking the time to do this.
Man, Sam, thank you for having me.
Big fan.
Pleasure talking
to
you.
It's been. Next time you come down to WNCW, maybe just let me know. I'll come up and we'll meet up.
Okay, that sounds great. You're not too far from Spindale, are you?
No. I like those guys up there at WNCW.
Oh yeah,
I know all of them, and
they've been great supporters of mine through the years. Martin and everyone there.
I agree. They're great people, and with radio, we're lucky to live in an area that has a radio station like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's hard to get airplay of any type these days.
Yeah.
Seth, this has been a pleasure, buddy. I appreciate you taking the time.
You too, Sandy. We'll see you down in Shelby sometime.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy.
See you.
Take care.
All right, bye.
See you. Bye-bye.
Love is a giver. Well, love is a thief. Well, love will pick you up and then let you bleed. It'll seem like an old friend, then leave you like an orphan in the cold. Well, I've done the hurting. There were times I've been untrue, and I've had my share of being played a fool. Baby, I understand. Things don't always go to plan the way you wish they would. When that cold wind starts to blow, no, you never got to be alone. Call my name, I'll come running, sun, shine or rain. I'll be there wherever you are, wherever you are. Just call my name. Well, take all your regrets, take all of your shame, take everything you ever done, even hate. Try a little forgiveness, and you might see yourself in a brand new light. When that cold wind starts to blow, when you're by yourself alone, call my name, I'll come running, sun, shine or rain. just call my name. That's all you gotta do.